Once upon a time, in a quaint little town nestled between rolling hills and crystal-clear rivers, there lived a young woman named Emily. She was known for her quiet charm, bright smile, and a heart full of dreams. Emily spent most of her days working at a small bookstore by the river, where the scent of old pages and fresh coffee filled the air. Life was simple, yet fulfilling for her, but deep inside, she yearned for something more, a love that would sweep her off her feet. One crisp autumn day, as the leaves began to change from green to gold, a stranger walked into her bookstore. His name was James, a traveler passing through the town, searching for a quiet place to rest. James was tall, with dark brown eyes that held a certain sadness, as though he carried the weight of unspoken stories. He wandered through the aisles, running his fingers along the spines of the books. But it was Emily's warmth that caught his attention. Their first conversation was short but meaningful. He asked for a book on poetry, and she, ever so knowledgeable, suggested one of her favorites. As their hands brushed briefly while exchanging the book, both felt a spark, a connection neither could ignore. They spoke for a few moments more, about life, about dreams, and about how books had shaped their worlds. Emily was intrigued by James, and there was something in his voice that made her heart beat just a little faster. Days turned into weeks, and James returned to the bookstore every few days. Sometimes they talked about books, sometimes about nothing at all. The more they spoke, the more Emily found herself drawn to him. His words, though few, seemed to carry the weight of everything he had lived through. James shared stories of places he had been and people he had met. But there was a lingering sadness in his eyes that Emily couldn't quite place. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden hue over the river, James confessed to Emily that he had been running away from his past. He had lost someone he loved deeply, and the pain of that loss had pushed him to wander, never staying in one place for too long. Emily, with her kind heart, understood his pain. She shared that, too. She had lost someone dear to her in the past and had spent years healing, hoping to find a love that was strong enough to overcome the scars of time. In the months that followed, their bond grew deeper. They spent long afternoons by the river, walking along its banks, talking about everything and nothing. Emily helped James heal, and James brought a sense of adventure and wonder back into Emily's life. Slowly but surely, they fell in love, a love born out of shared pain, understanding, and the quiet moments that often spoke louder than words. But life, as it often does, had a way of testing their love. James's travels were never far behind, and one day, he received a letter calling him to a faraway place. The time had come for him to leave. But this time, it felt different. His heart, for the first time in years, had found a home in Emily. He knew that leaving her would be the hardest thing he would ever do. But he also knew that he couldn't keep running forever. The day James left, Emily stood at the edge of the bookstore. Watching him walk away, her heart ached, but she also knew that love was about letting go, about trusting that the bond they had would bring them back together. Years passed. Emily continued her work at the bookstore, but she never stopped thinking of James. The seasons changed, the river flowed on, and the world seemed to turn as it always had. Yet, in her heart, she held on to the love that had bloomed so unexpectedly. Then, one winter morning, as the first snow began to fall, Emily received a letter. It was from James, but this time, the words were different. He spoke of coming home, of finding peace within himself, and of a love that had only grown stronger with time and distance. And as Emily stood in the doorway of her bookstore, the soft snow falling around her, she smiled, knowing that sometimes, love was worth the wait. James had finally come home.